Welcome to Feral and Fabulous. We have an amazing guest today. I am super excited. It is my beautiful daughter, Cortney Gill, with GSG Team, and I am really looking forward to hearing what's going on in the Cortney Gill world. And one of the things I wanted to start out with was, I know that you do the property management thing, and I'm so curious to kind of hear from your perspective kind of what led you into, kind of what got you into property management, and then how did it evolve from there?
Sure. Well, so I'd like to clarify, I'm her favorite daughter. I'm also her only daughter, but hey, I'll take my wins. But you are my favorite. Yeah, I'll take my wins. Not favorite granddaughter, because there's a couple of those that win that battle. But so I started in property management in 2009 when I was pregnant with Vivian. You had an admin that was on maternity leave, and I got asked to just fill in for a little bit. She was going to be gone about 6 weeks. And at the time I didn't know how to spell management. So I'm like, well, how hard could this really be? We had about 20 doors at the time, and really a great owner base that just was very kind and very understanding and patient. And then I decided to have a baby. And I remember telling you, like, hey, I can't do general real estate. These hours are way too long and an infant in tow. And so somehow I thought property management was going to be like an easier process along the way. And so that is how the GSG team was born in the late fall of 2009.
Wow.
I took over your doors. Yeah.
I know, but if only you had known what that was going to mean.
I talk a lot about how that was a huge pivotal point in my life, and it really was for a lot of reasons, right? Having a kid and taking on a business and being self-employed and the whole 9 yards.
And growing two babies.
And we went from 200 to 400 doors in about 5 years, and so it was a learning experience very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so tell me again, what was the growth kind of trajectory?
So when I took over your book of business, you had about 20, 25 doors. Yeah. And Vivian was born in 2009. Yeah. And then by the time Gabby was born in 2013, we had tapped out at 400 doors in the fall of that year. And so worked completely by referral, leaned into my network, and just really went all in and built a huge set of books and business and had a bunch of owners and all of that. So,
wow. I mean, I didn't realize, I knew it had grown exponentially, but I don't think I really understood that steep of an incline of what actually took place, because of course I was doing my own real estate stuff. So that keeps me in the weeds all the time, but I'm just in shock. I mean, I knew that you did a huge volume, but to do that kind of volume, to know what it started from at, like you said, 20 to maybe a couple of dozen to 400 doors is kind of crazy. So I didn't realize. So now I had questions. Now I have even more questions than I was anticipating asking, and I'm not even sure where to start. But can you tell me maybe what were some of the challenges along the way? And it was a very short way, if you will. So what happened to go from such a smaller pocket of properties to the large volume? I mean, what was that like?
Well, I guess I had grown up in the, Keller Williams grind, and then I had combined it with the Buffini systems where you worked by referral and you just tapped into your database, and it just kind of snowballed. One referral turned into 4, turned into 7, and we started to have people being, walking billboards, and we were coming off of obviously the great crash of 2008. And so we were taking on a lot of owners who were accidental landlords who had a lot of fear going into it. We had that first year, I remember houses were being foreclosed on. My tenants would call me and say, there's a sheriff at my door, and nobody would have alerted us. And so really it just became referral after referral after referral. Those years I didn't say no to anything or anyone, and took on some doors that probably didn't make sense for us. And we learned that. I definitely learned by 2014, 2015 where our niche needed to be, who the owners that we wanted to have long-term in our offices, and how to grow things. And so we actually by 2015 had scaled back to 250 properties. And I developed a mindset that if I wouldn't have you in my home for dinner, I didn't want to manage for you, because property management is by far one of the most trust-based relationships. And as Dave says, it's a 365-day option period. So, these are long-term relationships. I get to pick who I represent on my owner side, but our tenants, right, we don't. And so while we screen heavily to make sure that they're going to take care of the property, the relationship is definitely with the owners.
Well, that's a great point. So tell me from the other perspective, from the owner's perspective, what's probably the biggest thing that they misunderstand about hiring somebody as their property manager on that side of things?
I definitely think there's a couple of things. If they're accidental landlords, their expectation is somebody's going to keep up the home at the same level they are, right? Especially in military town USA, a lot of military owners who are very meticulous about how they maintain everything from air filters to water softeners. And, your average person, whether they're a tenant or a homeowner, typically doesn't take care of things at that level. I also think that they forget that there's still maintenance that has to go into your property, right? Every 7 to 10 years, you need to look into new carpet, new paint. I equate it to your 401k, right? Your 401k is going to grow independently, but when you invest more in your 401k, it's going to grow exponentially. So when you make those upgrades and investments in the property, it's going to grow at a better pace. You're going to attract better tenants. And so for many, many years when I was doing this, the mortgage payments were always less than what we were getting for rent. And in the last 2 or 3 years with interest rates higher, it's been a total shift in what people get for rent versus their mortgage payments. And it's definitely become much more of you have to invest in the property.
Right. And how have you handled those owners that are, I would say, upside down from a cash flow perspective? Because I believe that's kind of what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And I know that there were years where that wasn't as much of a thing, but like you said, as the market shifts, as interest rates change, obviously that dynamic changes. And so, what do you see or what do you say about that kind of dynamic?
So most of our stuff comes by referral. So I have the opportunity to go in and visit with them about their specific situation versus trying to sell our services. And there are times where I'll just say, hey, it doesn't make sense for y'all. Y'all need to just continue to lock in and try and sell the property. You've got some deferred maintenance that's going to become an issue over the next 3 to 5 years, primarily like your AC units, or the cash flow upside down is just going to put you guys in a really tough position long term. And so I try and go into an appointment open-minded and make sure we're making good decisions for them and giving them good advice that's specific to them. I think the market will adjust. It always does. It's a cycle. So hopefully if interest rates come back down to the 5s, I think we'll see a little bit of a leveling off and we'll be able to see where rents and mortgages make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
But I still believe real estate's the best way to wealth. And if you look at any 10-year period of time, your home's always going to appreciate no matter the area.
100%.
So if they can ride out the cycle, and I tell them it's a cycle. This is a season that's a tough season, but it will be a really good season at the end. And you've got somebody else making your mortgage payment. For most people, this is their single largest asset. So we take care of the asset the best we can. And then when the market turns, get it sold and move on to something else.
Great points. I mean, really, really great points. And also, I feel like if you have an investor that has the wherewithal, even though they might be cash flowing to the negative, if they have the overall pocketbook to withstand that, then in general, what you're saying is hang in there, just continue to invest in the property, even though you're not cash flowing positively. In the long run, you will still be in the win column.
Correct. And for my investors looking to purchase right now, I used to think JFK said a recession is a horrible thing to waste, but apparently he didn't. I was researching that the other day. And so with the market down, a lot of my investors are doubling down and making those investments right now. Picking up properties at just phenomenal deals. And then we're putting the tenants in there. And so they're able to capture the equity down the road. It's a long game for them. And I tell people, like I've been at this almost 20 years now, this was a long game. Yes, the business grew exponentially those first 4 or 5 years. But when I dial in and I think about where my value and how to show up as a property manager comes from, it's definitely been in the last 5 to 7 years when the market needed those kind of experts and not just data.
Yeah, no. Well, and I can say personally, I know how incredibly talented you are at what you do. So I have no doubt that factors into significantly into your success. But there have to probably be some other systems and things in place and tools that you use that kind of help and accelerate that to get you to the point you're trying to get to.
For sure. I jokingly said the other day to somebody that my 3 favorite 4-letter words are plan, work, and grit. And so
In that order?
In that order. And so I'm super blessed with a team that's been with me almost a decade. 2 of my virtual assistants have been with me 9 and 10 years. And you never realize how lack of systems you have till you have somebody working remote, because every detail has to get described. And when you don't want to be the only person to answer questions, you need a team that knows the playbook and knows what to expect, know how the leases work. And so I always tell people, if I was going to start all over again, I would do a virtual assistant. I would dial in my systems immediately. With property management, the best way to structure is to have systems and have plans in place so that if water heaters go out or rent's not paid, everybody knows what the plan's going to be. There's no, unreasonable expectation. There's no, I didn't know what was going to happen. Everything's very dialed in, and then you just have to push through. I had today somebody really unhappy about a window blind, and just had to remind myself that it's not about the blind. They're probably experiencing something else in their life at this moment, because people move, whether they're renting or they're selling, they're moving for pretty stressful reasons, either job relocations, babies being born, divorces. And so I typically know it's not about the frustration. It's just about the circumstances. So, but definitely my teams, I am a old soul 43. So I am still trying to embrace the chat GPT and the technology, but it has definitely elevated the business. I remember when work orders would come in, we'd write them down on a piece of paper and then have to find it. And payments would come in cash and checks. And now obviously that's been a lot more, automated along the way. People expect things faster, but there's a lot more automation tools that we've leaned into over the years.
Hang on. Let's go back, because the math is not mathing. You can't be 43 if I'm only 40. So
well, then there's that. I knew I was adopted.
There you go. You've just answered the lifelong question that you've always had, because I just don't get that. So.
Well, I always thought at first I was an only child, but then my brothers came along.
I disappointed you.
Yeah.
And reminded you that you were not going to be an only child. Well, you were for a while.
Correct.
You
7 long years.
You did have a good run.
7 years, 2 months, 14 days. Not that I've kept track.
not that you're counting.
Not that I'm counting, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. One day
Yes.
I'll embrace it.
Yeah, there's still time.
There's still time.
Exactly. Okay, well, so kind of going back to the tenant side of things, like what kind of small but impactful things can you do as a property manager to kind of enhance or make the tenant's experience better?
Sure. So typically moving on the front end is your biggest challenge, right? So we've done small things that were inexpensive, like move-in bags for them. So on their countertop when they move in, they've got toilet paper, paper towels, some water bottles, some just basic necessities that inevitably people forget to pack or need right away. We've also done a lot of AI integration. So we have a company that will set up their power and water and utilities for them completely complimentary. So it takes that off their plate. We also offer a resident benefit package that allows them to sign up for air filter delivery, pest control, and about 8 other services on the front end. So we feel like if we can give them as many tools and opportunities and things on the front end, that's typically where the chaos occurs. On the back end, we give them a checklist of what we expect for the property to be turned over, what a true clean looks like. And then we also give them, hey, here's movers, here's cleaning companies, here's people we use. And then throughout the lease, we'll do some drip on the systems and just check in with them, periodically. Hey, have you changed your air filter? If not, here's some people. If you want to get this maintained. We've really deepened our relationship with our vendors and allowed them to produce more business, while also helping us and making sure the properties get taken care of. Semi-annual maintenance on the ACs, which our owners, pay for, but it's a good way to get another set of eyes. And for the tenants to know, hey, this is how you take care of the AC system.
Yeah.
We've also gone to a thing called water keys, which if you're not familiar, it'll be the best $15 you've ever spent at Home Depot.
You said water keys? Okay.
Water key. Yeah.
Water key. Okay, I'm not familiar.
So when water starts pouring, it is almost as destructive as a fire.
Okay, you mean water's pouring in the house?
In the house.
Okay, Okay, got it. I want to make sure I understand this.
Yes. So, the number 2 people will tell me, oh, I don't know how you do 2 a.m. calls. I'm like, let me tell you, there's 2 a.m. calls that matter. There's a fire and you need to call 911, and the second is water. And one of my worst property management horror stories is a pipe broke in a property in Aqua Springs. And the water turnoff was about a mile up on the property. And she was home by herself, and it was pitch black. It was a neighborhood that did not have, a lot of outdoor lighting, and she could not find it. And then in the 42 minutes it took her to find that turnoff, she flooded the entire downstairs. And so we now provide video of here's where your water shutoff is, and here's a water key. And I need you to get out there as quickly as possible. The newer houses, the knobs are pretty easy, but anything pretty much about 20 years or older, just the piping gets hard to turn. And so we just provide them. It's a little thing that just turns like this, and your water shuts off in 10, 15 seconds.
Wow.
So
that seems like something everybody should know.
I buy them in bulk. And we have our owners sign up for them. And when tenants move in, we give them to them. They sign off that they received them. And if they don't return them, they're charged out of their deposit. But they're about $15 in the volume we buy them in.
Now, is that an unusual? I know in Knox Springs, obviously, it's a luxury neighborhood. The lots are larger. They're acreage style properties. But is that typical, or usually isn't the water access a lot closer than a mile?
Yeah, no. And it was also like snowing or sleeting that day. And she was up on a driveway with an ice. Like, there was a lot of variables on that one. But still, some of my worst, I'm like, you've got to get the water turned off to the house, because it literally takes a dishwasher, washing machine, any of that to destroy a property very quickly. And so when those calls come in, that's the first thing. Where's your water key? You need to get to the street.
That's great information. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, I'm certainly very familiar with different things that can flood in the house. But I didn't think about having just that knowledge right off the bat to, where that would be actually on any given property. I mean, obviously I know it for my own.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you're overseeing somebody else's property, it would be important to know where it is for that property as well.
Absolutely. So we get that from the owners. We have like a 5-page onboarding questionnaire, and I tell people it's a lot, right? We want to know your AC filter size, the location, just a lot of data, because in an emergency at 3:00 in the morning, I don't want to have to reach you. I want to go to our files. I want to know.
Who's thinking clearly at that time anyway?
Correct. So the more information we can have, and then just doing this a long time, you discover things that consistently happen over and over again, and you realize, hey, this is another tip or trick we use is freeze misers in the winter. So you stick those on those exterior hose bibs, and they keep dripping. So we save some of our outer lying walls that have, more potential to freeze along the way. Not a perfect process. And I tell my homeowners, this is life, right? People get divorced, they have babies, and things happen. Even though you take precautions, we change air filters, and units still go out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Over the years, I've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen, having nothing to do with anything being wrong. In other words, life happened. There was just an accident. There was something that you really couldn't have foreseen or controlled. I mean, definitely it's always good to try and control the things you can, but you just can't prevent everything. So
no, and it's ironic, like starting in this, 16, 17 years ago, we had stoves and things that were 20 and 30 years old. And I was like, oh, now give me a 40-year-old oven any day of the week, because the fancier things have gotten, control boards on dishwashers, all of that, their lifespans have really deteriorated, shortened, and harder to find parts and pieces and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. How about COVID? I mean, what you just said kind of brought to mind. I think in general, there were challenges. I mean, both in new construction and finding parts and anything. I mean, just buying a washer dryer or a refrigerator during, when I say COVID, those initial couple of years of the COVID time. And what did that look like? I mean, what was that? I mean, how did you overcome that? Because I just remember, I think I waited like almost a year for a refrigerator.
Yeah, so our leases actually, for the most part, say washer, dryer, and fridges are tenants' responsibility. Some of our properties have them, but most people have their own, and we just did the best we could. We have a great relationship with Scratch and Dent and First Choice Appliance, who had some stuff, in back order inventory. It may not have been the brand somebody wanted or the style, but at least we had something in there.
Perfect.
We also have a 3,000 square foot warehouse on Starcrest, so we were able to bridge the gap here and there for a while.
Okay, cool. No, sounds like a great solution, and having those partnerships are really critical. I know you mentioned earlier on that you work by referral when you were talking about that. What does that mean? And can you give us some examples of that?
Sure. So I joined Buffini & Company, which is a national coaching system, about 20 years ago, back when I was a lender. And they just teach you care, contact, and community. So started off with my, favorite 20, 25 people and transitioned. Most of them obviously were agents. And then as my owners grew, they came in my database and I would tell them, hey, I just want to take care of your property. I don't want to have to go market. I don't have to cold call. I don't want to do anything else besides that. And I'm able to keep my rates lower by not spending exorbitant amounts of money on marketing. So I also found that like people refer like people. So to keep people I like, I ask them to refer their friends and family. And then a lot of times they have the same mindset. So I had gotten in with Rackspace, and next thing I know, I had like 40 Racker owners, and they were all very eager to take care of their property, buying good investment properties. And then when I go make a presentation, it's not like, oh, this is why you should go with GSG. It was more like, here's how this process is going to work. So as opposed to information overload, they already have the trust with you. They already have the relationship with you because they know that you took care of Bob and Sue. They're just going to understand the process. And so by working referral, we don't take any cold calls. I always ask them, like, how are you referred? How'd you end up here? And then we take really good care of our database. So we do client appreciation parties. We do items of value to them. We do fun pop-by gifts to them. So I make it fun. I want these people to have a positive experience because they're going to tell their friends. And then I'm going to continue to be able to do business that way.
Sure. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more on how do you stay top of mind? Like, what are some of those things that you do to do that?
So in property management, every month we have the opportunity to meet expectations, exceed expectations, or disappoint. And so at this many doors, right, it's definitely a challenge, but I have found that proactive communication, keeping people informed, even if it's just, hey, I went by your property today, or anything that they know that you're focused on their asset and that you are available for them. In our monthly owner statements, I've started adding a personal video just saying, hey, reminder, it's this time of year, you're going to get your tax bills. Let us know if we can help with that. Or, hey, we know insurances are going up and up and up. If you need any names and numbers of referral sources. And so for me, I like the video. I don't like the call. I can record a 20-second video, say hello to my owner, stay top of mind, provide them something of value related to real estate, something that they need, whether it be carpet cleaning or chimney sweep or whatever. But then also remind them like, hey, I'm here for anything you need real estate wise, because I am a part of a national database. So even if I can't help them in San Antonio, maybe they've moved to New York, I probably know somebody who knows somebody who could get them a referral for a carpet cleaner.
Right.
So I want them to call me for all things real estate.
Right. No. That's all great points. What would you say, or what kind of advice would you give to other property managers or any agent that's trying to grow their business by referral, or maybe get into the property management business? What would you tell them?
So ironically enough, I'm working on a masterclass series about how to start a property management business. As you know, I have a high school degree and barely graduated high school. So here I am.
But you got out. And that's what counts.
Degrees. I got that diploma and started in real estate at 18 and have never looked back on it. But
when did you buy your first house?
19.
Yeah. You skipped a year.
Yeah. I got my real estate license at 18, and then I bought my house the following year, and then bought a rental property the following 2 years later. So I believe real estate is, the greatest asset, and it's the best way to be able to have freedom and flexibility. Obviously, raising kids, I needed that. And so anyway, that if I could give advice to somebody starting off, I would say start a database. Surround yourself with amazing mentors. I think if I could do it all over again, I would be at a Keller Williams. I think the training and the support and then just the synergy of being in a big office is really, really key. And then also just tracking and saying, hey, I'm never too busy for your referrals, whether that's in your mom's PTA group, being open to what you do, telling people, hey, this is what I do for a living. And no, you may not have a rental property, but maybe you know somebody who needs a rental. Right. And just constantly staying top of mind in your database would be probably the number one recommendation I could give people.
No, that's great. That's great stuff. I mean, I totally agree with you. I'm so happy to be back at Keller Williams Legacy. I mean, just the systems that they have in place, the support that they give us is incredible. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to kind of take a step back and really reap the rewards of all those different things that they offer. And so I feel like it's kind of a game changer. And I think it's been the thing that's allowed me to do the podcast and to do some of the other things that I've been wanting to do forever, but was not able to because I had too many other hats at the time. And so I love that you mentioned that because I do think that that's a really cool thing. What is the best piece of advice that you think you've ever been given about how to run your businesses? I know you're very well read. I know I don't read books. My daughter is the antithesis of that. Like for every book I've read, she's read 1,000 at least. And so what would you say? Because I know you're, like I said, well read. You obviously have been coached. You've coached other people. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And in kind of in many ways, although we're very similar in several ways, we're so different in some other ways, you know? And so I would love to have you tap into that side of things.
Yeah, we definitely think plan as a 4-letter word in different directions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I am a fly by the seat of your pants, and she plans 5 years in advance, you know? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I plan for things, but not 5 years in advance. Like, I just don't.
Yeah, like we have our 2026 marketing plan done, and all of our Christmas cards for 2025 have been stuffed. Your granddaughter stuffed them and sealed them this weekend, and Michelle did the addressing of them yesterday and Monday. So I find for me and my anxiety, I have to get in front of things because I've got 10 other crises that could occur in property management that no matter what I've done happen, right? This morning I had roots in a main line of a plumbing and I'm having to explain to an owner what that looks like. And so for me, anything I can get in front of just really works out better in that. And so if I could go back and say one bit of business advice, it would be get a coach. I had a coach really early on in my career before Vivian was born. So it had to have been 18 to 20 years ago. And I remember when I first started into coaching with Billy, you know, single guy, no kids. And he would just tell me, you just need to get up and put one oar in the water, Cortney. You got to just write 1 or 2 personal notes today. You just got to keep moving. And I'm like, you don't understand, Billy. I haven't had sleep in days. And, you know, Vivian was just mine and there was just no break. And he's like, so are you going to make excuses or you can keep going? And I definitely was raised with you as the honey badger who you just kept going. And so I just found myself leaning into a coach. And even when times got really, really hard, being reminded, like, you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I think a lot of times you just have to show up. I remember a season when Gabby was about a year and she had been so sick. Our RSV, rotavirus, the flu, she had missed way more daycare than she had been there. And I was exhausted and I felt like I wasn't showing up for people. And when you have a database that's been with you such a long time, they want to give you grace. They have such a personal investment in you. And so everybody was like, hey, we're here for you. How can we help you? And so I think having a coach and leaning into that, and planning, creating where you want to go. I always tell people, if you have no plan, it's like getting on an airplane and you don't know where you want to go. So I set, 90-day goals, 6-month goals, and and a year-long goals. And I've learned that I dramatically overthink what I can do in a day. But
I definitely think I do too. So I think we're very simpatico in that regard.
Yeah, I get up between 3 and 4 in the morning.
Okay, we're not simpatico in that regard.
I'm like, how am I late to my 7 a.m. appointment when I've been up for 3 hours? So late, I definitely inherited from you. But
yeah, but I don't get up between 3 and 4.
You're going to bed between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm done at 9 p.m. So
I'm just getting going.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, our industry turns over 85% of the people every 5 years. And so with the average homeowner buying or selling every 5 to 7 years, people will use you. They want a relationship. There's data and information everywhere on the internet, but what there's not is a trusted advisor. So just staying in touch with people, being honest and sincere, don't always show your highlight reels. I think that when I talk about with people and open about my huge failures, I lost a mortgage company in the crisis of 2008. I think people appreciate your authenticity and will give you a lot more grace, and it'll actually deepen your relationship because they feel that you're more genuine and you show up for them.
Totally, 100% agree. No, I think those are all great points as well. Since we were talking about it, I know that you're like I said, extremely well read. What book are you reading now? And well, let's start with what book are you reading now? Because then I have another question.
So I was just at a conference and I got to hear Will Goddard, who wrote Unreasonable Hospitality, which was a great book and read, and Carla Harris Lee DeWin.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
Which is amazing because I don't know many books.
Yes.
So, but I have heard of that one.
That one's a really good read. And then before that, my total girl crush is Rachel Hollis, and she had put out a new book called What If You're the Answer? And just 40 questions to ask yourself in life. And so definitely, I tend to read 2 or 3 books at the same time. I do AirPods reading at the gym, and then I also like to highlight and underline my books and touch them and feel them and all that fun stuff. So
Perfect.
yes.
Love it. No. Well, besides Feral and Fabulous, what are your favorite podcasts?
Brian Buffini does a great podcast. It's a Good Life, and he brings on all kinds of amazing speakers. In fact, him and John O'Leary have a great working relationship. The new book, new movie, Soul on Fire, is based off of his life. Love Rachel Hollis's podcast. She's definitely a ton of fun. And then, of course, Feral and Fabulous. I mean, what other podcasts are there?
Exactly. After that, I mean, who needs another podcast, right?
Exactly.
So, cool. Well, now comes my favorite part of the podcast, which is called Feral or Fabulous. So if you will grab the paddle right there, thank you. And I have a few, which you have, like I said, she has no idea what I'm going to be asking her about. So this will be really fun. And I know that my trusty producers will be getting a kick out of this as well. So
joy. Here we go. Deep breath.
Where's
that another shot of Patron?
I think she might need another shot. So checked baggage.
Oh, this is like, feral. Feral all the way, because so I travel a lot I'm doing some speaking engagements, and I always like to go to conferences, and I just love to travel. I'm trying to do all 50 states by the time I turn 50. And so for 25 years, I would not check a bag. Like, I take a 50-pound backpack and, I've got this. And then recently I started dating somebody, and he's like, no, we only check bags. And I'm like, oh, this might be a deal breaker. But we've negotiated our way through it, and I win sometimes and he wins sometimes. But overall checking a bag is 100% feral.
Okay.
I just do it for love.
I apparently, because I have to say I agree with him, because I don't know of a trip that I've been on, even overnight, that I could take a carry-on and live out of that. I mean, I don't even understand that. It doesn't even compute in my world. And I'm not really big into fashion, or it's not like I'm a diva in that regard. I just can't make decisions and be that precise on what I'm going to need, even if it's going to be, because I'm like, well, what if this happens? Because there's so much life that can happen that you can't predict. And so I just feel like I need to try and plan for all scenarios. And so
you can check out my TikTok. I actually went through a planning. We were going to be gone 5 or 7 days.
Okay.
And so I did like the mix match and what I could okay, this will go with this, or this will go with that. And do
you talk about, like, where do you get all the sizes, or do you actually buy little containers and put your stuff in there?
And then we went to compression bags for.
Are those the kind you have to suck the air out of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So,
well, I will check out that. It's on TikTok?
It's on TikTok. We've traveled 26 of the last 40 weeks, and so it's a constant, airport, and it's always a great American race with me. So one time in June, we flew to Vegas, and then we were going to Boston 2 days later, and it was when all that stuff was going on, and the flights were delayed, and so we ended up in we went from Vegas to Chicago, Denver to Chicago, and I was like, see, this is why we don't check bags, because the likelihood of them getting to our final destination are slim to none.
I got you on that. I do understand the downside of what that can be. I'm going to have to watch your TikTok, because I'm definitely not there yet right now. So, but hopefully I will be. Okay. Disney World. And some of these, I've got to admit, I wasn't sure which way. Some I thought I knew. I'm not sure on some of them.
So, okay, I'm going to go with Fabulous.
Okay.
We go quite a bit. My dad lives in Tampa, and the kids like going. My partner loves Universal, so we end up there for him a lot. And the Orlando food scene is actually super legit, and as they're shopping. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'll go suffer through Disney.
Yeah, no,
With-
I'm a foodie too, so
Yeah.
you can get me to go a lot of places if we're talking food. Yeah,
The other
for
thing
sure.
is there's a book out about the Disney experience and just the small things that they do along the way that attract people to buy more of their stuff and how they're prepared. I mean, they have ponchos when it starts raining, or if you've ever been down Main Street waiting for the parade, they're selling things. And so, I mean, I remember waiting for coffee at Disney one time for like 42 minutes. Not that I was counting. But they like make it interesting, and they have unique food. And even we went to the new Epic Universal opening, and definitely some really just cool things to make you not realize you're wasting 4 hours standing in line for a ride.
Yeah.
So
No. Okay. No, I totally get all that and relate, and I think I'm very similar in that regard. So, okay, camping.
oh. This is like a double feral. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing glamping. I'm not doing camping. I'm not doing anything that doesn't have a shower or a toilet or anything that remotely requires me to be out of a cell phone range for more than an hour.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. You could not. I'm serious. I don't think you could put a gun to my head and get me to camp. I just, and like you said, not even no camping, no glamping. There is no difference in my mind.
No, and I don't want to go hiking, and I don't want to go mountain biking, and I don't want to do, no.
Yeah. No. 100%. Yeah. No, I don't even think if the camping involved Rob Thomas that there would be any kind of a, I just don't think there's any kind of a combo that would get me to, not even a 5-star restaurant and camping. There's just nothing that trumps the camping part of being feral.
Yeah.
So, feral as in something very bad.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Okay. New York City.
Oh.
I know. I'm interested in this.
So I've been 3 times this year, and we went in January, and it was so cold.
Yeah.
And I am from San Antonio, so it was brutal.
Your blood is very thin being here.
Yes. And then took the kids back for the U.S. Open and had a blast. And so I'll go with fabulous. Excuse me. I would not live there. I know that much now.
Gotcha. But in general, obviously, if you've been 3 times this year already, what were you there for? Like, is this conference, personal fun, or a combination of both? Because 3 times to go to New York in 1 year is a lot.
Yeah. So we went to the Inman conference in January, which is a big real estate investment conference.
That's usually when I go. Yep.
And then we went to the U.S. Open for tennis. I'm really big about experiences with the kids and then watching people who are at the top of whatever their profession is. So to go to the U.S. Open and see tennis players at the top. And then, of course, the kids like Broadway and shopping and all of that. And then the third time was just a quick business trip.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that all sounds really cool. Now I'm kind of thinking about New York. I would love to go, and I think maybe you've been, but I would love to go for the holidays. I've heard it's beautiful in New York, and I've been to New York many times, but I don't think I've ever been when it was lit up for the holidays.
We took the kids 2 or 3 Thanksgivings ago for the Macy's Day Parade.
So you saw it all lit up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So the tree actually doesn't go up till slightly after the Macy's Day Parade, but
okay.
It is definitely
So it's not lit up like on Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought they had like the big, how I think San Antonio,
it's like
we had the
Saturday,
lighting of the Riverwalk. I want to say it's the day after Thanksgiving. Like that's kind of a famous thing is the Friday after Thanksgiving for the whole Riverwalk to be lit up. I just assumed in my head that they lit it up right after Thanksgiving.
No, it was like up with scaffolding and they were decorating it. But
not completely.
They're not us. I mean, we put trees up the first week of November, so.
I know.
Yeah, it's around the corner.
I know it is.
And not just one.
I know, and I'll even take hate over it. I don't even care. I just love, to me, if it could be Christmas all year, I think I would be down for that. I mean, maybe we could take a month break in between, the seasons, but that's about it. I could have Christmas 11 out of the 12 months. So it's just my favorite time of year as well. So, okay, the last one, which is my favorite one of all the questions, Bobby Flay.
Oh, fabulous. However, he has a new girlfriend, and I'm sure they're happy together. But, he and I had a bonding moment in Vegas. We go to his restaurant quite a bit.
I was actually with you. Yeah. I was not with you when you were with him.
Yeah.
But I was with you on that trip as you got up from the table and they came and got you. and said Bobby was ready to meet you. So I was like, okay, well, apparently she's connected. And the rest of us just sat at the table enjoying our, I will admit, fabulous. If you guys have not been to Amalfi's, that's in the Caesars Casino in Las Vegas, which their food is off the chain good. I think Bobby Flay is an amazing chef. I think all of his food is incredible. But apparently the feeling was not mutual on that particular trip. And she was the only one that got invited back.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, they have that great fish market, and James is the best waiter ever there. And so we had developed a friendship as often as we go to Vegas. And he'd known I had a big crush on Bobby. And so he was kind enough to arrange for a meet and greet and got a book signed and all of that. But apparently, I had taken the picture we had taken and I had put it in CapCut, and like Bobby and I had been in Paris and Bobby and I had been in China together. Like we had done all this traveling together, but apparently he was
so jealous.
He was apparently not interested in actually participating in that. So his new girlfriend, Brooke, is, I'm sure, a very nice lady. But hey, it is what it is. Not that I'm bitter. Party of one.
Bitter party of one, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. Well, this has been lovely, just as I knew it would be.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, favorite and lovely daughter. Love you so very much. And I appreciate you being on the podcast and just imparting us with all this wisdom about real estate and all things kind of cool and fun. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of you guys for tuning in and watching us, we appreciate it. Please feel free to continue sharing and liking. And I think it's called... when you join the...
Subscribe?
Thank you. See? I knew you are the most amazing guest. You can finish my sentences when you know I'm struggling to find a word.
Well, I used to forge your signature when I was 16 in high school. So, hey.
So can you subscribe for other people? That would be really cool.
Although your granddaughter's now learned that trick. I said, did I sign that? She goes, oh, yeah, I signed it for you.
Yes, turnabout is fair play.
Yes.
For sure, for sure. Yes, so please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And we will see you next time because we're going to be keep on keeping on. Take care.